So we were off last week. I guess I'm a little rusty myself. I was sick last week, and feeling better now. But coming back at y'all, we're gonna have a little bit more intensive YouTube coverage for hopefully the next couple of months because we got playoff and SEC championship game, A&M game next weekend, signing day in a couple of weeks. So really hitting that busy time of the year, transfer portal, the whole nine. But we're looking today, some recruiting stuff, talking a bit about the Kentucky game, and then kind of college football playoff thoughts. Tarek, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on some of the recent playoff conversations surrounding the SEC. There's a lot of going around this week about, does it hurt you to make the championship game? Does Texas have the resume necessary to be in the playoff right now to compare to some of the two-loss SEC teams or maybe some of the one-loss teams in the Big Ten? But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. We can start with the Kentucky game just because we're a couple days away from it now, and Kentucky's been a tricky out for some teams this season. They have a good defense, a very good pass defense. They have some good players up front. Their offense is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the SEC. So I don't think Texas has a whole lot to worry about there. But
this reminds me a little of the Florida game, to be honest with you. But except that Kentucky will have their players healthy. So
yeah, Kentucky. What worries me about Kentucky is I got a cat in the background if y'all see that. But anyway, if she gets in the way. But I think the thing for me with Kentucky, I can see that especially from like when with Aiden Warner playing for Florida. DJ Lagway, if he had been playing 2 weeks ago, that would have obviously been a tougher test. But Texas was really able to dominate that game defensively. This weekend, I think it'll be a lot of the same. Kentucky's offense ranks second to last in the SEC in total yards. I think last in yards per play. Their passing game is.
It's the worst offense if they're the second worst.
Let's see. I think so.
My, how they have fallen.
Hold on a second. I can pull that up really quickly, but I think I was actually looking at offensive or adjusted offensive efficiency. Yeah, so behind Kentucky right now is Oklahoma. So yeah. I mean it goes to show though for Kentucky the way that they're able to win games this season, it's obviously not with the offense. It's via special teams and defense. That's how they nearly upset Georgia in mid-September. That's how they upset Ole Miss in late September on a game-winning field goal. I want to get this thought off the top because for Kentucky's defense, they've only allowed one team to pass for over 200 yards in SEC play this season. Ironically enough, the only team that they've allowed over 300 passing yards to was Murray State, an FCS team. That one was weird, and the only team that they've allowed over 200 passing yards to in the SEC was Ole Miss, and they won that game. So I think it goes to show with Kentucky that it's really going to be running the ball that can get Texas, can kind of set the tone for Texas in this game and have them control the clock, keep Kentucky from, being able to control the clock themselves, being able to possess the ball, getting it to their big possession receiver, Dane Key. Texas also got to worry about the special team threat here. Kentucky has the all-time leading SEC kickoff return touchdown guy, Barian Brown. He's got 5 career touchdown returns, housed 3 of them last year. He's already housed 1 this season. I can see this being a lower scoring game. I think Texas can still get this game into the 20s or 30s, which I think is key for them. If you don't score 20 points, then that's where you're going to run into a dangerous situation. But I think my main concern is Quinn Ewers, passing for 176 yards last week. He definitely did what he needed to get Texas the win, but it wasn't a solid performance all the way through.
Lots of drops in that game too, though.
That's true. But Kentucky's secondary is better than Arkansas's.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I think that Texas is balanced enough on offense that they'll be fine, and their defense is better than Ole Miss's too. And also, since Kentucky has nearly upset Georgia and they upset Ole Miss, Texas won't go into that game thinking this is just going to be easy. They know they have to get up for that game. Senior day, that's also going to be important. I think some of the best ball under Steve Sarkisian has been on senior day, or some of it. So, not too worried about it. This is one of those, just do what you need to do and get ready for next week. Don't look ahead. So that's my main thing. Now, your special teams point, though, is a good one, because this is the first time under Jeff Banks I don't feel like the special teams is elite. I think it's good, but because of what had to happen, moving Trey Wisner and others off of special teams, not as great as it could be. So we definitely have to watch for that. But I think that they'll just keep the ball away from Barry and Brown. Maybe this is also the game Silas Bolden just breaks one. He's been trying so hard. So,
or Matthew Golden.
Yeah, but someone will get a holding call. I finally rewatched the Georgia game, and we had so many missed opportunities in the first half. It's just kind of insane. I mean,
And
Georgia finally played like Georgia defense, but Texas had some like great plays drawn up, like Trey Wisner dropping that reverse pass that Quinn put right into his hands. I'm like, oh, come on. Now, look, Quinn was not great that night. Absolutely. I'm the president of his fan club. I admit that. But there were some times where just like, okay, I don't know what you want me to do. I can't throw it to him and catch it for him. But back to Kentucky, if you limit the special teams, also I think because Texas has a good defense, they can probably force themselves into short fields, kind of like Georgia did against Texas, and that'll give them an advantage as well. So. And for all of and while Quinn Ewers hasn't been the elite Heisman level candidate, he hasn't been turning the ball over, so that helps too.
Yeah, I mean, the onus is going to be on the interior offensive line in this game to be able to block well, because Kentucky likes their delayed blitzes up the middle with Jamon Dumas Johnson, a Georgia linebacker transfer. And we saw what the Georgia backers did to Texas earlier this season. You were talking about it against Quinn Ewers. Wasn't his best game. Dumas Johnson leads Kentucky in sacks this season. And one of their star players on defense is senior defensive tackle Deion Walker, junior, senior. I would have to go back to look to confirm that. But he's got I was looking at it, around 65 quarterback pressures since the start of last season. We're talking about a guy that's about 6'6", 340 along the interior, can play heavy snaps. If he comes ready to play in this game, Texas, you're going to need guys like Jake Majors, DJ Campbell to be doing their part on the inside. Also to be able to run the football.
Which hasn't been Texas's strong suit this season, but
it has not. Jaden Blue got a little dinged up last weekend, but he wasn't on the injury report yesterday or today, so I think I'm okay there. But yeah, I mean, you'd hope to see some physical running from Jarrett Gibson, but he's had some fumble issues and he's been a little banged up this season. And maybe this is another big game from Trey Wisner. They need someone to step up in the backfield. Defensively, I agree with you. I think that Texas matches up really well just because Kentucky's offense is one of the worst in the SEC. They don't have much of a semblance of a ground game. They can run the ball pretty physically up the middle, but they're averaging just a tad over 150 rush yards per game, and against SEC play, they're barely averaging over 3 yards a carry. So I don't find that too threatening. The thing you got to do, you got to shut down Barry and Brown, the guy I mentioned earlier, and Dane Key. You got to limit the explosives because they like getting the ball to Dane Key's, their leading receiver, 686, 2 touchdowns, 44 catches. And then Barry and Brown is the only other receiver that has over 200 receiving yards this season for the Wildcats. Those are the two guys you gotta deal with.
I think Texas has the best defensive backfield in the country, so I'm not too worried about it.
Neither am I.
Jahdae Barron trying to get that next Thorpe Award. Malik Muhammad looking like a star. Michael Taft reminding you that he was a star at Austin Westlake and he deserved just a ride out of high school.
So Jahdae Barron has 4 interceptions already this season. Brock Vandegrift has thrown 5 picks in his last 4 games, at least 1 in each of the past 4. You think Barron gets another one this weekend?
I think so, and I think he will get one against A&M.
to end
because
the regular season with 6.
because Reed and Weigman are just turning the ball over a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how I can't understand how both of them turned the ball over last week, but somehow they did.
New Mexico State gets A&M cruised to a victory last weekend, so I'm not saying it was close because it wasn't, but
No, but you shouldn't be turning the ball over in those types of games.
No. I don't have much more to say about the game. Actually, I do. One thing. Quinn Ewers, I did a piece on this today. Quinn Ewers, it was reported today that he's expected to enter the NFL draft next spring. Nothing surprising there, but official reports did come out today from I believe it was Horns 24/7 and then Orange Bloods. So,
we've all known he was going to go, and he'll go in the first round, so they'll be fine.
I was going to ask you about that. I saw on PFF today they have him on his big board or on their big board at like 119th overall.
Right, but this is before in-person workouts and interviews and things like that. Also, I think what's going to happen, I think a lot of teams at the top, because I don't think that you have Shador Sanders, you have Quinn, Jackson Dart,
Carson Bank. I don't know how. His stock's been hurt though.
Okay, Quinn hasn't been as great as he was against Michigan, but he's been pretty good overall. Carson Beck has been just awful.
Yeah, Cam Ward, Jalen Miller, Garrett Nussmeier, all right, probably.
Okay, so, but I think what you're going to see is there's like a run on wide receivers like late in the first round. I think you might see a run on quarterbacks late because I think some teams are going to trade back. And so,
unless Shador's picked early, Cam Ward maybe.
Yeah, I think all of these guys are first round talents, but they're not top end talents. They're the guys that you groom to be your next guy, but they need to be groomed. Like Milroe, great athlete, great arm, great, beautiful deep ball. His mid game stuff is just not there yet. He should come back another year, I think. He should do the Penix model. He probably won't, but that's what I would say. Cam Ward, I think with the right coach, he'll do fine. I think for a guy like Quinn Ewers, the thing with Quinn Ewers, the reason Arch will have a better college career and story, in part because Arch got to sit and learn and get through and not have to carry the team right away, where Quinn came in as basically a true freshman, and the time where he could have spent a season getting all the kinks out. It's like, okay, you got to get the kinks out as you're leading the team and that type of thing. So I think it would, but if a guy like Sean McVay could get Quinn, and I think that would be the perfect understudy for Stafford. I think that just sitting there learning for a year could do Quinn a lot of good. So I think he'll go later in the first round, but I do think he will go in the first round. Because I think what's going to end up happening is people are going to come to his workouts, and he'll go to the combine. He's going to really impress people with his arm strength and his mid. And the thing is, Quinn's deep ball isn't there yet, but the right person can fix it if they fix his footwork. But Quinn does a lot of other things that you can't coach, like the off-platform throws, the mid-range game, those really hard out routes. Like, for example, that those routes he keeps hitting with Matthew Golden against Arkansas and against Vanderbilt, those are big NFL throws. So that's what I think is going to get him into the first round.
Yeah.
And also the other thing is, I'm forgetting his name, but Bo Nix. Guys like him have gone in the first round, so I think Quinn will get in there.
Yeah. This serves as a good transition point for me. I want to talk a little bit about high school recruiting and then playoff, but you mentioned it's senior day. We do this every year, and we'll probably do it again before the end of the season, but with senior day coming up, I'm going to read off some names to you. Non-seniors or guys that could be eligible to come back. Let me know if you think they're going to stay or if this is their last regular season game in DKR this weekend.
Okay.
Isaiah Bond. I say go.
Gone. Yeah. He'll sneak in the first round, probably bottom.
I'd imagine so.
He'll either be like Xavier Worthy, will sneak at the bottom, or he'll be like Adonai Mitchell in top of the second. but he's an elite talent.
Yeah, and insane speed.
Mhm.
Matthew Golden. I say stay.
Yes, I think Golden stays, and he can have a season that will get him possibly into the second or first round.
I don't think he's as good, but I could see him having like an Adonai Mitchell type season next year. He really has turned into that possession receiver, big red zone target for Texas.
Yeah, I think you could put him in kind of the Bond role of being a lot of motion and just being positionless. I think I could absolutely see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
the-
if he went, he would get drafted, but it wouldn't be as high as he could next year.
that's
And also, if you want to be as good as you can next year, you need to keep one of Bond or Golden, and so Golden, you're much more. Golden is your golden opportunity to keep one.
Kelvin Banks, easiest one. He's gone.
Come on, yeah, he's a top 5 pick.
Yeah. DJ Campbell. I think he stays.
No, he needs to stay and potentially move to left tackle.
Okay. Cam Williams. I think he goes.
I think he will, but I don't think he should.
I would
But
agree with that.
I think, he's just got he's like Quinn. He's got all the tools to be a first round talent, and he's got things you can't teach. Like you can't teach that kind of size and speed. You just can't. So I think I will say this: if they coax him to stay, then you can keep Campbell at guard. You can move Williams to left tackle.
Fair enough. Jaden Blue.
Definitely stay.
Yeah, I think so too. It's gonna be a crowded run. Someone's gonna leave. Someone's gonna head to the portal. I just don't know who that's gonna be. Because you got Baxter and Clark, and then you got Simon and they're Simon and I'm losing. Who's
I
our other
forget.
running back commit?
Stewart. Stewart, yeah, Simon and Stewart.
And then they're talking about going to the portal for another back. I just, what does that put you at 9? I
Something like that.
Someone's gonna go. It's gonna be like Savion Red last offseason where you don't want to lose them, but it's just like the number situation, I think. So that would be my only hesitation with Jaden Blue.
Just make sure you keep Baxter.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Ethan Burke. I think he stays.
Definitely stay.
Yeah.
He'll take Baron Sorrell's spot.
Trey Moore.
Stay. Move him to linebacker.
Okay. That one I'm not sure about, to be honest with you. And then the last one I got, Jalen Gilbo. I think he stays.
Yeah, he'll stay.
I think earlier this season.
I could see him competing for a corner spot next year.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Jahdae Barron thing.
That wouldn't surprise me either, because you got multiple guys you could put at nickel, including
because you're going to have Derek Williams, probably Michael Taff, and Jelani McDonald back. So you could probably move McDonald.
And Jonah Williams.
Oh, Andrew. Yeah.
Belsamy.
Huh?
Belsamy. And JJR. Yeah, safety's deep.
Oh, and don't forget, you got Jonah Williams coming in. Oh,
that's
Jonah. So I think you can move Jelani McDonald probably to star, and then you can have, or you can move Williams. You can move a lot of guys around. So
yeah, you could.
Luckily, I think I'm really worried about offensive line next year and defensive line, but defensive backfield, I think we're still going to be really good back there.
Agreed. Okay. High school recruiting. So right now, Texas has the 3rd-ranked class nationally. There's been some scares.
Who are you using? 247 or on 3?
24/7.
Oh, so we're at 3 class. I thought we were at the 4.
Maybe we got bumped down.
I
have not looked today.
I think LSU's at 6 now with.
We are at 4. Oh, did we get bumped down by Michigan?
I don't think so, but it might be.
Oh no, we're just trailing Alabama now.
Yeah, and Bama might lose Haywood to Michigan.
Oh, because they just did the rankings bump, and Keelan Russell's now the number 3 overall recruit nationally. Man, his ascension's been wild.
I don't know if he's that good though.
I don't either. He has DeCorian Moore.
I think he's reminded. You know what I think the reason is? He's a lot like Jalen Milroe, and I think Milroe was underranked, and so they're kind of but and given what Milroe's doing, they're kind of boosting Russell that way. That's
One, it's so easy to make a Duncanville kid that's a starter and a star like a 5-star because they're just so
also
good.
he's got Decorian Moore, so
Right.
yeah, it's like you're gonna look a lot better when you got Decorian Moore.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, Decorian Moore, he could be maybe the best wide receiver at Texas if he was on this roster right now.
I think Decorian Moore has a case to be like the number 2 or 3 overall recruit in the nation for this class. I think he is one of the.
Who do you have? One Underwood.
Yeah, they have the top 3 are all quarterbacks. They have Tavian St. Clair, the Ohio State commit.
Yeah,
I don't, and then yeah, and then it's a little bit of a drop off to Longstreet after that. I don't think that.
Longstreet's still a 5-star, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
barely, but yeah, I mean, still though. And then yeah, anyway, so Texas, yeah, they're really firmly there for the 4th straight top 5 ranked recruiting class nationally for Steve Sarkisian since
I think
2022.
they're going to get the 3 class again at least, because
Yeah,
I think they're going to flip Cade Phillips, and I'm pretty sure they'll flip Fasusi.
but if they flip Fasusi, yeah, that's done. And then Michael Terry.
Oh right, no, that should probably get them. That would put them almost at the 2, I think.
Yeah, I mean, number 1 is within.
Because I think
within reach,
I think Bama's probably going to lose Haywood if.
You think?
Yeah, I still don't know how Texas didn't get in on Haywood. That's another.
They wanted Fasusi. And
okay,
Nick Brooks.
you should have pushed for both, and said like, okay, we'll get one of you. Whatever. If you get Turntine next year, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I was going to say I think they're putting all their chips in with Fasusi. They probably should have gone after Lamont Rogers a little bit more. Yeah, I thought he was really good.
I think he'll go to Texas A&M, and then we'll get Fasusi. So yeah, you definitely have a top class, and I expect Texas to really make some big moves in the portal. I gotta think they're really going to give Bear Alexander a look at defensive tackle, because there's just not enough to say no. It's like, okay, there aren't a lot of options, and you're the best option, and we can get you, and we only need you for this year. It's like, okay, it was like, we're just going to have to live with it. And of course he has to be on his best behavior, because it's like, well, this is draft year for you, so we'll just have to, see if he can do it.
Yeah, they can't afford to be super picky at defensive tackle.
It's just not there. So
I mean, Bill Norton's been all right. Lole, I think, has been the most pleasant surprise of the group of defensive tackle transfers we've gotten. I think January is going to be really good next year. So I think he's probably next up. But yeah.
I keep forgetting his name. He's number 99 right now. The huge our huge defensive tackle.
Sadir?
Yeah, Sadir Mitchell.
He's been playing a little bit this season.
Yeah, he's been playing a lot more recently, and I think
good.
I think he'll stay and be part of the rotation. He's another guy's like got all the tools if you just put it together. Kind of like Alfred Collins had all the tools, and finally it's like, oh, there we are. Where was that for 3 years?
Yeah. I mean, they need Sadir. I mean, they've needed him for the last 2 years. It is nice to start seeing him get more the most consistent reps I think he's gotten in his career, because we still haven't seen Jere Bledsoe really break through yet, and Aaron Bryant hasn't played much of a role this season either at defensive tackle. So, they're going to need a lot of fresh bodies there, and Josiah Sharma, I think, is the only one coming in that's really going to be ready to take some snaps right away among the guys who currently have committed. So defensive tackles aren't usually immediate impact guys. All right. So high school recruiting, I think we named all the names that.
Yeah.
Kellen Wiley, maybe the 4-star linebacker.
Yeah, he'd be a good fit. Definitely need another linebacker, because you're definitely going to be losing Anthony Hill after this next coming year.
You lose Benda this year, yeah.
Yeah, but at least you have Leon Lafau. He's playing well. So
Ty Anthony Smith.
Ty Anthony Smith, I think, is going to be a stud.
Yeah, same.
It's guys that flip from A&M to Texas tend to do well.
Yeah, well, stick with them for a reason.
To
Okay, so let's wrap this up here with playoff. So I do on the side, I do my weekly playoff predictions, and things have been mostly consistent for the last few weeks, especially in the SEC and the Big Ten. But right now, I have Texas winning the SEC because they're the highest ranked team in the SEC right now. They went out there in the SEC championship game. I think if Texas wins out, doesn't matter what happens in the SEC championship game, they should be in the playoff. Just depends on
if they're an 11-1 team, there's no way they're leaving Texas out.
Yeah.
I mean that the thing is though, they're gonna with the way the playoffs is going, they're gonna have to reform conference championship games because they don't seem to mean as much. You might need to go with like division conferences like they do in the NFL, something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. It's tough. They at least need to redo the criteria for the playoff and say that you're not going to get dinged too much.
Yeah.
For a conference championship game, the regular season is weighted more unless you win. So right now I've got Oregon winning the Big Ten. I've got them as the 1 seed. I've got SMU as the 3 seed winning the ACC. Boise State as the 4 seed as the highest rated G5 conference champion. And then Colorado is the 12 seed as the Big 12 champion. Do you have anything different for the conference champions?
I would have said Ohio State would win the Big Ten, but when they lost their center, I'm not sure now.
Okay.
Because their offense is not as explosive as it used to be.
Yeah.
That's because this is the first time in a while they don't have like a great quarterback. But so yeah, I would probably put that. That sounds about right.
I've got Ohio State as the 5 seed at large, Indiana 6, Ole Miss at 7, Georgia at 8, Penn State at 9, Alabama at 10, and then Notre Dame at 11. This is where I'll let you respond there if you have anything different.
I'm just going to say that's going to be a lot of fun to watch TV.
Yeah, 100%. The 3 teams, I always do this for my 12-team bracket predictions each week. I name my 3 teams on the outside looking in. This week, I've got Tennessee, A&M, and then Miami. I don't think that there's going to be 2 teams from the Big 12 or the ACC that get in. SMU losing to BYU, I think eliminated their chance of losing the ACC, but still making it into the playoff, even though they have looked really good with Kevin Jennings at quarterback. And Miami, I just haven't been impressed by their ability to beat like any team that's good this season.
But Clemson winning the ACC?
SMU.
Oh, SMU. Okay. Yeah, I guess I do. I think Clemson will win the ACC
over SMU. Okay.
Yeah. I think they just have enough talent that they'll get by. But I could see SMU winning. I'm not like overly bullish on Clemson, but I think they'll get in there.
I have questions about Clemson's defense. I think their offense can.
I have questions about every team in the country. There just isn't an elite team this year.
No, there isn't. It's a lot of parity. There's like 15 really good teams, maybe 10. And then it's hard to find the separation because like I would say if everyone's playing at their peak, then Oregon, Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Alabama.
I think I would put it this way. I think the best team on defense at their best is Texas. Georgia's close. I think Georgia's front 7 is better, but I think overall, because Texas's secondary is really good, I think the best offense when they're on all cylinders is Ole Miss. So
I still think the best offense is Oregon when they're really explosive.
I don't trust Gabriel against a really good defense.
Yeah, he's still got problems with the deep ball too. He's never been a great deep ball thrower.
Yeah, then don't get him in the cold.
Yeah, true. Okay, so this is how I wanted to wrap up this conversation. So I think it was Greg McElroy this week said that he doesn't feel like Texas has done enough to prove their playoff resume yet. They're going to
Sure.
have a chance against A&M. My first question, who do
Unless
you
they,
think?
unless they lose to Auburn.
Fair enough. I don't really want it. I mean, I guess I do just because I think it would be funny, but if A&M loses to Auburn, then it makes Texas no matter it either makes a win look worse or
I'm not saying what I'm rooting for. I'm just saying it could happen.
yeah, no, it could. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
A&M lost to South Carolina already on the road this year, lost to Auburn with I think Auburn getting better at least recently, and never
So
easy
what's
playing
your
Jordan Hare.
what's the call here now?
So I think okay. Basically, I'm wondering, do you feel like, for one, if Texas has two losses before the SEC championship game, that they're out?
I don't think that they're out, but I'd be nervous.
Yeah. And then do you think a one-loss Texas, do you think, I mean, honestly, do you think like a one-loss Texas, if they win the SEC, beats A&M, if if you have, let's say, an undefeated Oregon or not, I think if there's not an undefeated Oregon, but let's say there's a one-loss Ohio State, do you think Texas is the one seed then?
Uh, Maybe. I wouldn't care too much about it, to be honest.
I guess the
I
number
would
one
care
over.
more about it if they did the playoffs the way that they should, which is all the playoff games are at the schools, no bowl games.
Yeah, well, yeah, because you got the games at the schools for the first round, and then
Because,
it
like,
moves
here's the
up.
thing: like Texas would get a bye, but they don't get to play a home playoff game.
Yeah,
So
I mean they might. We'll see.
I'm just saying but wait, if you're one of the top four, you get a bye.
Right. No, I'm
And you
saying if
don't
they're an
go.
at-large, they would, but
Right? Yeah.
potentially because you have to be what, a 5 through 8 seed, 5 through 7,
Yeah.
5 through 8, yeah, to get a home playoff game. It's almost more fun to think about it that way, but obviously with the fewer the games you play, probably the better for your path to the title.
Yep.
All right, so let's round out this video with two things. One, we'll give our score predictions for the Kentucky-Texas game. And second, where you think Texas ends up in the playoff, seed-wise.
Okay. Well, I'll say for the score, I'll say 27-10.
Um,
And I think Texas will find a way to win the SEC, and they'll be the 2 seed.
Okay. I'm going to go 34-13. I'm feeling optimistic this weekend.
Mm.
I actually I had us winning by 10 initially, and then I bumped up my score because Shane gave me a little bit of confidence. And then I had us winning by 20. And so the optimist in me gets the best of me sometimes. Um, I'm going to have Texas as a 6 seed. I feel like they fall in the SEC championship game.
Who are they? Okay, if they beat A&M, who are they playing right now?
Ooh,
Ole Miss?
probably Ole Miss or Alabama,
Hmm.
because Alabama has a very favorable path since Tennessee lost last weekend. Tennessee still has a chance. It's going to be either Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama, or Tennessee. It's going to be one of those four. Ole Miss and Alabama, probably the best chance of getting there. Because also, I mean, you got to look at Ole Miss's remaining schedule too. What they got Mississippi State, which I think Mississippi State's been getting better, but they're not good. They're still without an SEC win this season. And then let's see, who do they have this weekend? Florida on the road. That one could be tricky, but I think they probably come out of Gainesville with a win. Um, Ole Miss, I would worry about that matchup a little bit. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but yeah. I'll go with Texas as a 6 seed. I think that they do beat A&M, but then yeah, I just And Alabama, I mean, God, Kalen DeBoer and Steve Sarkisian, they just have to face each other every year. So it wouldn't surprise me if that matchup came to fruition. And again, I feel better about that than I would last year. Before we go, do you think Texas would beat Alabama if they faced them?
Yeah.
You do?
I mean, uh, you got to keep Milrow from running, but if you do that, I think you can.
They did that last year, but wasn't against DeBoer. Anyway, all right.
I don't know that. The thing is, I think in some ways, Milrow, he's gotten better because DeBoer has just made the offense what he does well, but it's not like I don't watch Miller and think like he's just got way more tools in his arsenal now. It's just like no, you're still really good at throwing the deep ball and running.
Yeah.
You have maybe the best wide receiver in the country who's 17 years old. Yes, we had to say that part.
And a pretty good offensive line
Yeah.
too. So, all right. Well, I think that's about it for today's video. So, we'll have a little bit of a longer one next week. Shane will be back in the mix, and Thanksgiving week. So, I'm sure we'll record on a different day. But
Yeah, we're definitely not recording on Thanksgiving.
no, maybe Black Friday or something like that. So
Yeah.
we'll see. All right. For Tarik LaCour, Andrew Miller, Hook'emHeadlines.com, Hook 'em Horn Show. That's pretty much it. Hook 'em.